All right, so here's an example of A/B split testing. But before I get into A/B split testing, let me tell you a little bit about some of my experience with the effective deployment of A/B split testing versus not really utilizing a lot of the easy-to-use features that A/B split testing actually has to offer specifically from a generating lead standpoint. My background, for a number of years was in corporate marketing for a publicly traded software company. The marketing budget was at roughly $150 million per year. Now, I wasn't in charge of allocating those funds or, actually even clicking the button, so to speak, on some of the campaigns. But I was intimately involved in the optimization and split testing process from a feedback mechanism standpoint, and often collaborated with the folks that were clicking the buttons, so to speak. So, and then of course, I shouldn't say of course, but I've also run a small legal services company where the mainstay of lead generation came exclusively from online lead generation, and that was in the family law legal lead type of a company. So, essentially, we were spending quite a large amount of revenue in the upfront marketing through Google AdWords and a couple other sources as well to obtain these qualified family law leads that needed immediate family law assistance. And the changing of some of the content on the website, some of the marketing messages, even some of the wording with inside various touches of communication made an enormous difference from going from roughly a 4 to 5% conversion from leads to sales all the way up to 11 to 12% conversion from leads to sales. And this a similar ratio within the actual lead conversion as well, just from a couple of tweaks and a couple of small changes within the various versions of the website. So we actually ran about 7 to 8 versions of the websites. We actually didn't deploy fancy features as hopefully you'll be able to learn about and deploy for your own business as we do now for some companies, but the outcome was similar to doing A/B split testing. So essentially we were able to start at roughly a 20 to 30% conversion all the way up into roughly a 40 to 50% conversion. And there's a lot of variables that go into that, not just the version of the website, but certainly the version and deploying A/B split testing is a critical stage, and as far as I'm concerned, actually one of the first steps that any online business should be looking into, exploring, learning about, and ultimately deploying on a consistent and regular basis for their company and their organization. So what you see on the screen here is just a simple screenshot of what A/B split testing is all about. Hopefully it kind of makes sense. Let's say, so for example, statistically significant amount of website traffic from an online standpoint, we try to reach at least 1,000 website visitors before we can accurately say or determine that one version of the website actually performs greater than another version of the website. However, if you notice that the variance of conversions is catastrophically greater at maybe the 100 visitor website point. So, for example, out of 100 website visitors, you have 50 of the visitors visiting one version of the site, and 50 of the visitors, or as you see here on the screen, 46% visiting one version of the website, and 54% visiting another version of the website. If you notice, out of this version, out of 100 visitors, you get 30 conversions, like website conversions, whether it's a sale or a lead or a phone call. And with this version of the website, perhaps you've only, maybe only 4 or 5. So you wouldn't really need to continue on doing a statistically significant test all the way up to that 1,000 visitor website threshold, because it would be clear that this had 30 conversions, this had a couple of conversions, that this version was clearly the winner. But many times in doing A/B split testing, it isn't that obvious of a difference. But sometimes it is. And so the changes that would go into an A/B split testing may, for example, maybe a different image, or the placement of the image on the page, or a different wording, or a different style of font, or a different placement of a call to action button, whether it's above the fold or below the fold, or to the right portion of your website, or the left portion of the website, or the top or the bottom. Whether there's a video on the site, whether there's a couple of videos on the site, whether there's some sort of free offer, like a free giveaway, or potentially a free download of an ebook. So there's many different tests that can be run. And of course, ultimately, if you have current a decent flow of visitors, I would say over 100 or more, A/B split testing can be a critically important portion of your business. So it doesn't necessarily require a great volume of visitors in order to deploy A/B split testing to have a lasting, actually an immediate and lasting impact on your overall gross revenues inside the organization. And obviously, it also affects the net revenue as well. If you are spending money on marketing, so for example, from an online standpoint, AdWords, Bing, various ad exchanges are a great way to generate website visitors. And there's a lot of details that go into a Google AdWords campaign, but the crux of this video is not centered around Google AdWords. We also provide that as a service here at Automation Anytime. So again, A/B split testing, essentially, once we determine which version of the website is the champion version, we then do a slight optimization, meaning a different image, a different version of the image, some of those examples that I presented earlier, and split test the champion version versus the new version. And then we sit and wait for the statistically significant amount of visitors, or actually in real time track which version of the site is performing better. And then the whole goal is to make those optimization changes as fast as possible, so that way you can reach a greater conversion of your website without spending additional funds on, without misallocating funds essentially on marketing, or essentially bringing in more net revenue to your business from your existing website visitors. So the reason for this video is to kind of give you an example. I have another version of this similar video or explanation of A/B split testing to the left of this video, but the optimization process can be done for many factors on a website, whether it's from a YouTube channel, whether it's Facebook marketing or LinkedIn marketing, whatever it might be. A/B split testing is effective and an critically essential portion of any enterprise level company, all the way down to your small business. So any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to explain in more detail if this type of video explanation with more details makes more sense. But if you'd like the shorter version with just a couple of quick details and just say get the job done, watch the video on the left if you haven't already, and contact us, and so we'll know hopefully how to communicate to you so it makes sense.